Welcome, welcome, everybody. Greg Peterson from Urban Farm here tonight with Janis. Hello, Janis.
Hello, Greg. I'm Janis Norton. I am from Urban Farm West, and I'm here to talk peaches with Greg.
Nice. So for those of you that are here tonight that don't live in the low desert, a lot of our tree information and tree content has to do with the lower desert, and a lot of it's transportable. But tonight, well, the first half, maybe the first third will be transportable, which is the fertilizing piece. But just so you know that if you're wanting to know about peaches for your area, and Marta is in Oregon, these ain't the peaches for you, Marta.
We're going to talk about the peaches that are best for the low desert, but we're also going to be giving you some information so that you know what questions to ask for your area.
Yes.
All right. Because
Bada boom, bada bing.
We may know a lot about what peaches are supposed to go well in the Phoenix, the low desert of Sonoran Desert, but we know what you're supposed to be asking, and that's important. And I'm going to tell you a story a little bit later.
Oh my God! Is it the story of the sprouts?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna
right,
mute my.
Yeah,
you go ahead and get started. I have to mute my video for a second. It's acting a little weird. I'll be back.
All right. Well, good news is if Greg needs to restart, we can do that and he'll be he'll be there. You muted your screen, but not your microphone. Oh. We're going to do April tree chat talking about peaches.
All right, guys.
All right. As always, if you have questions, put them in the Q&A and we'll address them at the end. That kind of gives us a chance to find the questions when we're ready to answer them. But this is an urban farm chat, which means that the chat room is open for everybody to chat to each other. So please throw a little note in the chat. Tell us who you are, or at least where you're coming from, where you are right now.
Right.
So let us know. Let us know. Where's my chat? Here we go. So that's that. And if you want to send us an email, Greg is fruit trees, plural, at urbanfarm.org. He's grown way more than I have. And I'm fruit tree at urbanfarm.org. Okay. So first question we like to address every month is, do I fertilize this month? April is a key month for our fertilizing. And we are going to ask you to try and do 3 different types of fertilizing. The first one is the most important. This is the base level fertilizing that you need to do, and that is the granular fertilizing. And we like to suggest that you do it during tax day, so mid-April, right now. You're going to do based on the fertilizer that you use, and the ones that we recommend are organic fertilizers based out of Arizona. That is Tanks, Supermix, and Bioflora. Now, both of these are organic fertilizers. So based on the ratios of those, it's 1 pound of fertilizer for every 1-inch caliper. That's how wide your tree trunks are. And what you're getting with that is about 2.5 cups of fertilizer for each inch wide your tree is at the base. Not the base, but a couple inches up from the ground. So the dates that we recommend that work really well for the Sonoran Desert is Valentine's Day, Tax Day, Memorial Day, and Labor Day. So
I do want to jump in there. Those are dates, as Jen has said, for the low desert. So the thing about fertilizing is it's not a one and done thing. It's not fertilize the trees once a year. Trees, your plants, your vegetables, your gardens, they need to eat every day. That doesn't mean you need to fertilize them every day, but you need to put systems in place so that you can consistently feed them. So if you're not in the low desert, if you're in Asheville, North Carolina, I just push those dates out a month to 2 months. So I fertilize
soil temperature.
Soil temperature, yeah. And are the trees budding out? So if you're in Oregon, I know somebody on the list was in Oregon, just push that out a month. but they need to be fed. And this is from Tom Spellman at Dave Wilson Nursery. They need to be fed every other month during the warm season. And the thing to remember it in the low desert is Valentine's Day, Tax Day, Memorial Day, and Labor Day. In fact, it was so funny, Janice, the other day I was on Facebook and somebody said, when do I fertilize? It was a Phoenix Facebook group. And somebody chimed in and said that.
We've got the word out. We've got the word out, and it works. It works.
Yeah, it does.
Now, this feeding schedule is for the granular, the organic granular fertilizer, which is a slow release, and it's got the NPK. It's got all the elements that you really, really need. Well, not all, but it's got most of the elements that you really, really need to get your feeding started. So then if you can put some azomite in with your tree, that helps too. That's basically rock dust or rock granules. It has the A to Z of minerals, including trace elements.
There's like 70 micronutrients in azomite.
Yeah, it's like a vitamin pill. Just kind of helps out.
Mm-hmm.
And how you do it, you go around, you dig a few spots. So maybe is for every inch your tree is, you'll do +1 spot of holes around your tree, give or take. And then just make a little hole, put a cup or so in there and close it, and you're good. You're burying your granules. You are not throwing these on top of the soil. You need to bury them. You will be so much happier. It will be less flies and less animal intrusion. Then once you've put the granules in the soil, give it a good watering. Okay. However, you can also do drench feeding, which you would do right after your granular feeding. And drench feeding is basically giving a dose of nutrients for the soil. And this is your good humic acid. We love the product Heart. And so we recommend 1 to 3 ounces of Heart in 5 gallons of water for each tree. And you're going to prepare it in a bucket and then pour it around the basin. You can pour this right over where you just granular fertilized. Works great. Because then you follow up with a deep watering. And foliar feeding. For those of you in the South Valley here, yep, it's time to resume the foliar feeding. Do it as often as you can until the temperatures get too hot. Now you're going to do it around now. Start doing it in the morning, because the temperatures are between 70 to 75, and you're going to do this, just keep doing it every couple of weeks, and you're going to stop about 2 weeks before your harvest. And you can use Noble Gills and Sol, or if you don't have it, you can use Essence and Sol. And you're going to just spray.
Don't spray the flowers.
Yeah, don't stop while your flowers are present. Spray your trunk. If you really, really feel like your tree needs it, spray the trunk and the branches, but don't spray the flowers, because if you mess up the pollen in the flowers, you're going to mess up everything. Just the whole cascade of issues from that. So spray on tops and bottoms of your leaves and the branches and the trunk. Avoid direct sunlight, avoid high heat, avoid freezes at all times. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, well, really the bottom line is if you spray the flowers, you just won't get any fruit.
You mess up a lot of stuff. You mess up the fruit, you can mess up the feeding cycle of your pollinators. It just messes it up a lot. Yeah.
All right.
All right. All right. So there's a little bit more. Between 65 to 80 degrees is the best. We
do have a foliar and fertigation class coming up at the end of the month. So look for the email on that.
Yeah, that's been a good one. We'll talk more about that later. Okay, so for those of you who are familiar with our nutrition schedule, we do have a single page document that is double-sided laminated. You can get it at store.urbanfarm.org. It has the fruit tree program on one side and the garden program on the other side. It is, it's kind of flexible based on your area, because with the exception of the granular dates, there are no dates. It's just general seasons and how to take care of this, with some information about, temperatures and stuff to work around. It works great. But if you just want to go online, we've got a new page on the website at urbanfarm.org/nutrition. Let us know what you think about the page. We're making changes based on feedback, but it is both the garden and fruit tree information on one page. It's really easy to use on the phone because you just click in the section that you want opens up. So there you go.
Cool. Oh, I love this quote.
Go ahead.
An apple is an excellent thing until you try a peach. How cool, how true is that? They
And he was a cartoonist. I looked it up earlier and I forgot what I found out.
yeah.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
Well, apples grow pretty prolifically here in Asheville. The stone fruit, not so much. That's why I'm trying some different varieties of the Zager genetics to see if we can have some more success with peaches, because my favorite thing to eat is an apricot and a peach. And you cannot buy them in the grocery store.
No,
You
not really.
you can buy apples in the grocery store. They're long lasters and keepers and that kind of stuff. But peaches and apricots, I've been so spoiled that I have to eat them fresh, otherwise right off the tree. Otherwise, oh well.
Yeah. Yeah. This gentleman here is a cartoonist, a French-British cartoonist from the 1800s.
Oh, very good.
Okay.
All
So
right.
going with our new 2023 theme, we're trying to do a tree a month, focus on one tree a month as much as possible to really try and give you focus on how to plant it, which ones to get, and any kind of special things that you need to know about those. Right now, we're deciding to do peaches because it's a great time to know about peaches.
Mm-hmm.
So, Greg, let's talk about which peaches are the best peaches.
All right. So you want to tell your sprout story right now?
Just
I'll
the
tell
other
you.
week.
Yeah. So I posted those pictures that you sent me on Facebook. There
Yeah.
have been hundreds of
Responses.
So yeah, on Facebook, which is unusual.
I was just at my sprouts. I love my sprouts. I get so much stuff for the sprouts, and sitting right outside, there was this bin of bare root trees for a fraction of the cost of what it should be. I mean, they must buy them in huge bulk and really price them down, because that's lower than ridiculously low price. And I was like, wow, how can we compete with that price? And then I walk up and look at it, and I'm looking at the peaches that are there. And first thing is, there were peaches that I knew were not going to be the right time, and apples that I knew were not going to be the right ones for this local area. And there was no rootstock information, none. So not only did we be having trees that were going to be ripening in the wrong time, so the fruit wouldn't survive, we weren't even sure if the tree was going to survive because the rootstock might not be the right rootstock.
Well, but then the chill hours were involved, and they were all 800 and 900 hours of chill. And
That's right. I sent you those pictures.
We get 350 hours of chill
in Phoenix.
And I think it's actually 300 now. I would guess. So if you're planting, if you're living someplace, this is one of the questions you need to ask. What are the chill hours on that tree? Because if you plant a super low chill tree in Portland, it's not going to work. And if you plant a super high chill tree in Phoenix, it's not going to work. You're never going to get fruit. I know this because Price Club, Costco used to be called Price Club. And in 1991, when I was married, my ex-wife and I went into Price Club, and they had peaches, and it was like $6.99 for a peach tree or something. It's like, oh yeah, let's do it.
Score.
I took it, right? Wrong. I took it home, and 20 years later, I cut the tree down. It had never made a peach because it was the wrong peach for the area.
And you're lucky that the rootstock was good enough to actually let the tree survive, even though it didn't actually produce anything.
Yeah, so that's number one, chill hours. Number two is rootstock. You want to talk about that, Janice?
Well, different soils are good for different types of trees. And when you have a peach tree or an apple tree or an apricot tree or a plum tree, not all of them have the right thrivability, the right survivability in the soil. So they've done tests and they've figured out which root stocks are good root stocks for different areas. And they probably got like 50 different root stocks. Well, here in the low desert, we only have a few that survive in our alkaline soil. And it's going to be different in different areas. But it is crucial that you know that the rootstock that you are getting on your trees are rootstocks that are good for your area. So get educated and know which ones are the good ones. And that way you can be familiar, you spot it, like, yeah, I like that one. For instance, for us, an apple, we want an M111 rootstock. For peaches, we want a Nemagard. Those are great rootstocks for the valley here. Outside of other places, you're going to want one that's going to survive with more moisture, or something that's going to be able to survive the chill a little better, or something that's going to survive the, well, we needed alkaline soil, something that's maybe a little bit more acidic soil, a little bit more, whatever the different conditions are, the plants are different. And so you want a rootstock. But what you do is get educated on what the good rootstocks are for your area.
Yep.
And that's question number 2.
And number 3, and this third one I figured out over the past 10 years. Nobody talks about this. And that is, when does the fruit ripen? And I'm talking about soft flesh fruits like peaches, stone fruits, apples. And if you are planting in the low desert, if you're planting one of these that ripens in August, September, October, November, which includes all pears, it includes most apples that you see, a lot of the peaches and apricots and plums, a lot of the stone fruits, includes those as well. And
even grapes, and
even grapes,
even grapes,
berries,
and berries.
Yep.
Jinx.
Right. Mulberries, all of
Yeah.
these, if they ripen after about July 1st, they cook on the tree. I have
In
tried.
Arizona, that makes such a big difference.
It does. I have tried for years. I planted fruit trees for 40 years in Phoenix. And I tried everything. I didn't do a lot of tropicals. I wasn't interested in tropicals for whatever reason, but the deciduous fruit trees and the citrus fruit trees, I pretty much, if I could get my hands on it, I tried it. And so many of the late ripening ones, I just yanked out. They just didn't work.
And if you're in a different area of the country that has a later zone, that is a nice, good zone, you're still going to want to make sure that you get something that's good for your zone, because if you have a tree that ripens too early, the flowers aren't going to survive, because they're going to be flowering when it's too cold.
When it's freezing. Yep.
When it's freezing, and the pollinators aren't going to be able to get to it. So even if the tree is out there and the time is like right when your season is warming up, if the flowering season is wrong, it's the wrong tree.
Yeah.
Wrong variety.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I did with the fruit trees that I brought here, the stone fruits that I brought here, I selected late blooming and late ripening. So these stone fruits that I brought in, they will ripen in September and October and early November.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
here in Arizona, we have had an extremely long winterish or cold spring. It has been really, really cold until like yesterday. Yesterday it hit 100 for some of us.
What?
It was 100 for some of us. I actually hit 100 in when I was in Surprise yesterday. But
surprise.
last week I was bundled up. I was even communicating with Greg on my phone that I was bundled up with a beanie cap and I was shivering. So, but what that was doing was I was a little bit worried that it had been, because we had a little warm spot and my trees had all flowered. And then we had a really windy and cold day. And I was like, oh, I really hope the pollinators got to them early enough. So only the flowers that were out long enough to during that little warm spell were the ones that got pollinated,
Oh, well, there you
because
go.
all the rest were gone.
Well,
mean-
and there's some value in that. If some of them freeze off, that's self-thinning for the tree, and your peaches will be. I
For the
had
peaches, yeah.
I had a mid-pride peach in Phoenix in the front yard maybe 15 years ago, and we had a late season freeze.
Yeah.
About 80% of the fruit fell off. But
Oh.
the 20% of the fruit that we had on, and we had 150 peaches or so, were the biggest peaches I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right, let's go back to the slide.
All right. We're going back to the side. We're going back to peaches. Let's talk about the ones that you like the best.
Yeah. So these are I've experimented with a lot of peaches and stone fruit in the low desert. And I like successive ripening. And successive ripening basically means that the peaches ripen at different times. So if you put in 6 desert gold peaches, the peaches are going to come in all at the same time. And you're going to have 6 trees of desert gold peaches. So what we like to do,
they ripen so fast, and they go from really yummy to really gooey too fast.
right, exactly. So what we like to do is plant successively. And what it looks like, my favorite bundle is I know it says trio. My favorite trio is the Desert Gold, the Tropic Snow, and the Mid Pride. And I've got slides on all 4 of these. And then what happened was a few years ago, the Tropic Snow came in short supply. So we found a replacement. It's the Swaze Swirl. So let's go on to the next slide. This is our friend Jolene Cootie. She's a chiropractor in Scottsdale, and she calls the Desert Gold peach the bend over peach. And she said this publicly at our tree event 3 or 4 years ago. And the room just cracked up. You have to bend over to eat them, otherwise they're going to splash down the front of you. The Desert Gold peach for the low desert, we regularly bring in 250 of these a year. That is a lot. That is over twice as many of any of the other trees that we bring in. If you're planting peaches and you want to pick one, go with this one. It is absolutely flat out the most incredible peach that we can get. 200 hours or fewer on the chill hours. They come in bare root. The ripening times on this one is mid-May. So from a successive ripening perspective, usually about May 15th, graduation day around ASU is mid-May. That's how I always used to remember it when I was going to school there and then teaching there, is toward the end of the semester. Go ahead.
No, finish your thought.
Toward the end of the semester is when we get the Desert Gold peaches.
Now, the Desert Gold peach is a yellow peach. It is also a cling stone, which means the flesh sticks to the pit.
Sorta.
So
Sorta. It's
sorta.
actually a semi-cling. It's the strangest thing. The first 4 or 5 or 6 days, it's a cling.
Yes.
And then once they ripen a little bit more on the tree, they become semi-cling, and you can, and they'll actually separate. So.
And now what a clingstone means is that the fruit sticks to the pit. So if you're gathering them all kind of early, it's going to be a little bit of work to pull them off. But one of the nice things is, because these are the first peaches of the season, you're probably not planning on canning these or making pies with these, because they're not going to be as easy to cut into a pie because they're so soft and they cling. These are the ones you're going to just eat. These are the ones you're going to share. These are the ones you're just going to like boast to your friends. You gotta taste this peach. It's so good. And then you laugh as it dribbles down their chin because they were not surprised. They were not expecting such a yummy, delicious peach.
Oh, yeah.
But so this is the statement peach of your yard.
right? That's a good way of putting it. So it is heavy bearing. It is heavy bearing. It
Mhm.
is heavy
Heavy
bearing.
bearing. What does
Um,
that mean, Greg?
lots and lots of peaches, and it is self-fruitful. All the peaches that we bring in are self-fruitful, which means you can plant one peach in your yard and you will get peaches.
Now, going back to heavy bearing, especially for your young peach trees, you absolutely need to thin these peaches out to your peaches are no closer than 3 inches apart, because they will be so heavy you will lose branches. If you thin them out, they'll get to be a little bit bigger. It won't be as draining on your peach, but start from your base, from your trunk, and select them so that you have more of your peaches on the internal than on the external, and thin them out further as you go out, because it's heavy bearing and it can be too much for your young branches, and your
Yeah.
trunk just won't be able to support it.
Yeah, and you also have to make sure you prune. If the branches get too long, the fruit
Mhm.
sets on the end of the branches and they can break.
Yeah.
All right, next slide.
Tropic
Tropic
snow.
snow. It's a white flesh peach. 200 hours of chilling. This is an amazing peach. It ripens
Flavor,
about
yum.
in the low desert. It ripens about 2 weeks after the desert gold. So the successive ripening piece, this one comes in about the first week of June. And so you plant your desert gold and you get peaches mid-May. The tropic snow, you get peaches the first week of June. Do you have anything else to share about this?
Well, it is it's just yummy. It's really
Yeah.
yummy. It's also a clingstone. It's also a clingstone, so
Is it?
it will not be. I'm looking right there at it.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, it's a freestone. I'm sorry. It is a freestone.
That's what I thought.
It is a freestone. I was looking at the picture, and the picture looks like a clingstone.
Yeah.
But it right here, if you can see my
Mm-hmm.
cursor, it just pops right out, which means now, as a freestone, what that means is it's going to be easier to slice for canning and for pies and stuff, because you won't have to pull your pit out.
Yeah, they never made it that far with me. One of the things that
No.
I do with peaches and apricots is I will cut them in half, pop the pit out, put them on a cookie tray, stick them in the freezer. Let them freeze overnight, pull a gallon jar out and drop them in the gallon jar. And I would make, my green drinks that I drink, the
Yeah.
smoothies I drink, I'd drop a few in there. So,
Yeah.
and then the apricots, they get dehydrated.
On our website, if you're ordering trees from us, there will be, after the peaches, a C, L for clingstone, an F for freestone, or an SF for semi-freestone, which is kind of halfway in between. So
Cool.
that's just a little code to help you pick that. The third one.
And the mid-pride peach, this is another amazing peach, low chill, ripens about 2 weeks after the tropic snow. Again, it's self-fruitful. This one is a freestone peach. You can cut it in half and open it up and the pit pops out and on one side, and just like with an avocado, you grab it and it comes right out. It's a harder peach though. It's
Firmer.
That's what I was after. It's a firmer peach.
Which makes it a really good pie peach.
Well, there you go.
Because it keeps its shape while you're doing the pies and you're doing the candy. Because this is the one, the first ones are the ones that you'll turn into the jams. I made the best peach bourbon jam a couple of years ago.
Oh, yes, you did.
Great. That was the desert gold. The mid pride is the one that you'll end up canning and turning into pies.
Cool.
Or making pie slice, where you like the shape.
Right.
But there's more.
All right. So you're gonna the first thing that might jump out on this one is chill hours 400. The chill hours on the website from Dave Wilson, they're all estimates. And I was told by my Tom from Dave Wilson Nursery that it's lower than 400. So about
Yeah,
5,
he
6
says
years ago, I brought in some of them to experiment with. This is a nice producer. It's a donut peach. It's definitely less than 400 hours because I was getting fruit on it every year at the urban farm and a nice
Now,
amount of fruit.
Dave Wilson cannot change the chilling hours until they have like a decade or more of proven results on, you know, with that chilling hours. They can't change it until they've got some serious studies giving them the background for that.
Yeah. So this is a really nice replacement for the tropic snow window. It ripens the first week of June as well. And
Now,
it's a
this is a
donut
very,
peach. Go
yeah,
ahead.
this is a very unique peach. It's a saucer style. It's kind of flat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll make some heads turn. It's kind of pretty.
Yeah. And really tasty.
Yeah.
All right, next slide, unless you have something else here.
No.
All right, so these are the other varieties that are low chill. We can get them on the correct rootstock and they ripen before July 1st. And Jewel, so Jewel's on the line. Jewel spends a lot of time in our classes. Thank you for being here, Miss Jewel.
Yes, thanks, Jill.
She said the Florida Prince peach ripens before the desert gold. She says for her in her yard, and she's near, I think she's near 32nd Street and Shea-ish. So north central Phoenix, low desert. So
I have
these
to admit, the Florida Prince did not, it did in my yard, so I can't tell you.
okay. Well,
I'll
so
take her word on
sometimes
that.
happens. The Bonanza, oh, Jewel lives where I-17 and the 101. Okay, North
Okay.
Phoenix. The Bonanza peach is a genetic dwarf peach. The whole tree
The
gets,
bush.
it's a bush-like, and it's only about 8 feet tall.
You know, that's so funny that I mean, if you think about it, 8 feet is what we're calling a dwarf. You know, but it does, it can be quite prolific.
Quite prolific. Becky, hey, Becky, how are you? Becky says Eva's Pride is my favorite. Yep.
Yeah.
These are really good, early ripening, good producers in the desert peaches. So,
Well, ladies, I need you to go on to the store and add comments to the ones that are your favorites so that other people can know that too, because you can do that.
Right?
Yeah.
Nice. And we have all these available. So for those of you in the low desert, the way our program works, it's a bare root program. We do education all year round. We do lots of education. In fact, we've got a new program coming this fall called Fruit Tree Boot Camp. And
Dun-dun-dun.
it'll be free. It's a free educational program that'll go throughout the fall. You'll be able to pre-order your fruit trees starting in September. And the citrus will come in toward the end of September, early October, and the deciduous trees, things that lose their leaves. So all the stuff we're talking about tonight will be in January for you to pick up. And this will be my 24th year doing this program. We're almost at a quarter century, Janice. That's just mind blowing, you know?
That's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Wait. 24th year?
Yeah.
I was going to say something funny about that, but I was going to say it's like more than half my life, but not quite.
Not quite. There you go.
Not quite.
All right.
All
What's
right.
our next slide?
Cactus, you peach. You know, the nice thing about peaches is the flavor of a homegrown peach will outshine anything in the store tenfold, 20-fold,
100-fold.
100-fold. The trick is how do you get the peaches to become peaches and and have your tree survive? Well, thinning a peach tree is essential. We
Mhm.
can't stress that enough. You have to thin your peach trees. So at this point, you should have already done it. You should be starting to do that in late February, early, into March. Go out there and pin them out, measure 3-4 inches apart and start thinning them out. If you notice at this point that your peach tree branches are starting to bow down, go pull off 1 or 2, because you
Or
need to
10
be
or
able to
12
make,
or 15 or 20.
yeah, especially near the tips. Leave the ones that are lower or closer to the trunk. That way your branches will have the strength to support them. The ones that are way out in the end, they just get so heavy, and it's too much for the branch to bear sometimes.
If that's
And
happening, you need to prune your branches shorter. And you can always send an email to fruittrees@urbanfarm.org with a picture and say, how do I prune this? And I'll be more than
Right.
happy to respond.
Actually, Greg is really hoping that you still need him. So go ahead and send him those emails.
That was
So
bad.
yeah.
Hey, Jewel, Annie is asking a question about the Florida Prince, and this is actually for everybody. Was the Florida Prince better for snacking, jams, or pies? She wants to know. Jewel or anybody? All right, we've got a couple of questions here.
Let's do some questions, and send us in your questions before we start talking about what's coming up.
Yeah. Chandra wants to know, I just planted in January. Do I fertilize this month? Absolutely. We need
If you
to.
just planted in January, you skip your February fertilizer and you start now.
Yep. Get it going. Doug says, thank you for hosting this webinar. We planted a desert gold and tropic snow in January 2023, purchased from the Urban Farm Nursery. Thank you.
Aww.
We are diligently following the regime. When, in what year can we expect to get fruit from the trees? All right, so
26,
23, 24, 25, 26.
25, 26.
Yeah. So here's what I tell people. First year, you want to take all the fruit off. If fruit sets, all of them come off. Second year, you can leave a few fruits on. Third year in the ground, so this is considered the first
By
year.
a few, we're talking like a
5,
handful.
10, yeah, 5 or 10. And it depends on how well the tree's doing as well. And then, so this is year 1 in the ground. Year 2 in the ground will be a year from now. Year 3 in the ground will be 2 years from now. And you could easily get, if you're doing what we tell you to do, you're getting your tree nurtured, it's growing, and you're pruning it diligently, you could easily get 100 or 200 peaches off of your desert gold and tropic snow in the 3rd year, which is, yeah.
Yummy. And there are a bounty of wonderful jam recipes online. I found my peach bourbon jam recipe online. Absolutely loved it. One of my favorite recipes with that was to pour it on some chicken and bake the chicken. Yum. Yeah.
So Jewel answered the question. She said she made peach pies with it years ago, also canned them, but she just loves eating them live. I hear you on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So Deirdre, you ask an interesting question. Deirdre says, how do you deal with leaf curl? We're in the San Francisco Bay Area, California, and with all the rains, it's been really bad this year. That's a good question. What I've discovered, so if you don't know, I up and moved from Phoenix, where I lived for 54 years, to Asheville, North Carolina, just about a year ago. The 22nd will be our 1-year anniversary of April. And what I've discovered, Deirdre, is we don't have pest pressure in Phoenix on trees. So when you're asking about leaf curl, I've never had to deal with it. I have to deal with it here, and I'm going to have to figure it out. But I don't know how to deal with leaf curl. and it's, we get here in Asheville, we get 3 to 4 inches a month. So we get 40 to 50 inches a year. And I'm starting to have to deal with that kind of stuff. So maybe check with me a year from now and I'll have a little bit better answer than, I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I'd check with a local nursery and see what they tell you to do and try to keep it organic. Doug says, do you need to protect the fruit from birds? That depends. It depends on, do you have a lot of bird pressure? Where I lived near 16th Street and Glendale in Phoenix, Arizona, there was so much to eat for them to eat. They weren't bothering my peaches. But if you're way out in the desert, you may have a lot of bird pressure. So what I would suggest that you do is you keep the trees short, no taller than 10 feet. You can, for those of you that are members, have bought stuff from our website. If you bought anything from our website, you should have a member area for fruit trees. And in that is a document called Backyard Orchard Culture. And it talks about how to keep your trees small. And you do it through pruning. It is aggressive pruning for the first 3 years and then moderate pruning after that. You still get a lot of peaches.
Yeah, I do.
But you just keep your trees small. And then what you do, and you never, you guys get that? Never use bird netting. Bird netting does 2 things. It messes with the trees. I can't tell you how many times I've had to show people how to cut bird netting out of their trees because the tree just grows right through it and it kills birds. It's just beyond me why they do bird netting. It does not work. It does not work. I have a solution.
It was a great idea that the unintended consequences just kind of like made it not work.
Yeah, exactly. So use tulle, Tulle. Tulle is a fabric that they make tutus and wedding veils out of. You can buy it at the fabric store. And what Jenny down the street from me, my friend down the street from me, used to do every year is she draped the tulle over the top and around and down to the bottom of the tree. She got a big enough piece that she could cover her entire tree and taped it down at the bottom of the tree. So that was keeping pests out and it was keeping the birds out. And then what she did with her apricot tree is she put a slit in it and she closed the slit with a clothespin, and she'd get up every morning and go out and open the slit and harvest the apricots. The best apricots are the ones that are sitting on the ground in the morning. They self-ripen. They're absolutely the best. And
but
she would
with
just
the tool, you don't have them on the ground.
You don't have them on the ground. You just open your slit, harvest them out of there, and yeah, you're good to go. So that's how we deal with birds. Eileen says, try the extension office in your area. That was for Deirdre on the leaf curl. Yeah, try the cooperative extension office in your area. That would be good.
Yeah.
Vesna wants to know where to get good peaches in Tempe or Scottsdale during the season. Yes, go to the farmers markets.
Peaches.
The grocery stores are no-goes. Let's see,
by the time they ship it in, they've lost everything that you really want out of a peach.
Yeah. I can't eat peach store-bought peaches. I can't do it.
You've been spoiled.
Can't do it. I'm too spoiled. The Scottsdale Farmers Market is an amazing farmer's market. I'm absolutely sure that they will have peaches in season. And the peach season starts in about 3 weeks. So, yeah, like that. What else, Miss Janice?
Well, we have some fun stuff coming up. I wanted to make sure we got a chance to say that while people are still putting in any questions they might have. Greg, we have started our monthly classes, some education every month, as often as we can going
Yeah.
forward with this. But it's got to be something of value. So we revised our drip tape class and did that. It was a great success.
Mhm.
We have had some questions about foliar and fertigation. We're bringing that class in this month. So here, let me go up with my slideshow.
Oh, yeah. Where's your slideshow at?
I don't know. Here it is. We have a foliar and fertigation class coming up on April 26th. Now,
Wait,
fertigation.
wait. Don't tell them what fertigation is. They have to come to class to learn what fertigation is, but it's a really cool way of fertilizing your garden.
If you have more than 4 or 5 trees, you got to come learn about what fertigation is.
Yeah.
I have more than 20 trees, and I love my fertigation. So April 26th, foliar and fertigation.
Jules says, I know what fertigation is.
We have some friends of ours from High Creations. We've got Anthony and Derek's coming in. They have made a brand new updated presentation for us to talk about some of the questions that everybody brings about those 2 items. And I love it. I learn a lot with them every time. They reinforce concepts that we know, and they give me a better way to explain, to answer the questions that are posed to us. So I love this class.
Yeah. Jerry
Go
says Kristen won't be joining us tonight. Unfortunately not.
No,
She is
it's a family
okay.
emergency.
She had a family emergency. Everything's okay.
Yeah, or rather
but
she was needed to take care of some family stuff. And
Yeah.
the urban farm considers family beaucoup important. So
Yeah.
family first is what we say in most of our meetings.
Yep.
So
the
Sandy,
general
how
store.
often you use heart?
Oh,
You're
okay,
going to
good.
use heart every month. If you live in an area where your soil actually freezes, then don't bother using heart while your soil is that cold. If it's so cold you can't work it, don't bother using heart. But down here in the valley where we live, every single month you can use it. And you're basically feeding the soil. And I cannot tell you how important it is for the desert soil, because it helps with the caliche, it helps with the alkalinity, it helps with the clay, it helps just about everything that's going wrong with our desert soil. Heart is addressing with the humic acid and creating an ecosystem in your soil that is marvelously magic for your soil. So yay.
Love the alliteration. So our general store is going to be open on the 29th. If you're in Phoenix and you need supplies, we'll have fertilizer, worm castings, azomite, mycorrhiza, woody mulch. We've got all the supplies you need. You can come and pick it up.
We were originally scheduled for April 15th, and we just didn't have the personnel to handle it. So, and we had some just scheduling with that. So we moved it to April 29th. We still won't have Raymond. Raymond won't be there, but we'll have Dylan. Dylan will be helping us. And the rest of our really great team will be there. So come join us if you need some mulch, if you need some fertilizer. If you want worm castings, please order early. I'm not going to bring in that much. We're just going to bring in a little bit of worm castings.
Yeah.
And yay, love to see you. Come down and say hi.
Yay.
And May 9th is our next tree chat. Now, my topic that I'm working on, I haven't lined up the speaker yet, so I can't tell you who it is. I'm looking to try and bring in somebody to talk about pomegranates. So that's my goal for May, is to have a pomegranate teacher. If I line up somebody else to talk about one of our other trees, I reserve the right to change my topics. Because I
Right?
just want to bring in somebody to help, bring in some good information and somebody who's had some specific experience growing something.
I wonder if the cooperative extension would have anybody, or Arizona Rare Fruit Growers would have anybody for
Oh, I'm sure,
pomegranates. Yeah.
I'm sure they would have it. So I'm just reaching out to them. So
Annie says she'd love a webinar on figs someday.
I'm working on that one too.
Also, Annie says, I'm in your old neighborhood, 12th Street in Glendale. Thanks for the helpful
Aw.
webinar. Absolutely. You're welcome. And she brought up my old neighborhood. I have some exciting news. I'll let
Yes.
the cat out of the bag.
No, already? I haven't even put it on the calendar yet.
I know.
You're
It
so
looks as
excited.
though the new owners of the urban farm are an amazing family. The work that they've been doing goes back 15, 20 years in the food system, and they've agreed to let us do a tour. So we will be doing tours of the urban farm, the place that I lived at for 32 years. The first Friday and Saturday of November, it looks like.
Yay. We're
Yeah.
gonna go see how it is. That's
Jerry, that
nice.
would be really cool. I know Doug Jones knows who I am, and I know who he is.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know him well enough that you can introduce me? Like open the door? That would
For
be
me.
cool. I'd love to
Bring them in.
bring him in. Yeah.
Yeah. Please do. Please
So,
connect us if you know him.
yeah.
We don't
please.
have his contact information.
All
All
right.
right, folks. It is coming to the close for our tree chat. We hope to see you next week for our seed chat.
Oh yeah.
Please join us.
Thank you. Thank you.
And your email reminder for the tree chat, I'm going to wait a few days before I update it because I just don't have the topic yet.
Yeah.
So it'll
Cool.
come out.
All right. Thank you everybody for being
everybody.
here. Thanks, Janice, and have fun, and we'll chat with you on the flip side.
And don't forget, if you've bought a tree from us and you love it, go put a comment in on the store. We could really use the feedback so people know which ones are the best trees.
Oh my gosh, hold on. Jerry says I got scions from a scion is the fruit bearing part of the tree at the scion exchange, and they are growing roots for pomegranates. That's great. I have spoken to him several times, but don't know him well. Okay, cool. I'll reach out to him.
We'll find him.
Yeah, perfect.
We'll find him.
All right. Have fun, guys.
Thank you. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.